What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we got another community stand matchup between Sharp Dressed Man and Power Flower. But before we get into it, make sure to join our Discord server. I finally made one, and in the future you will be able to submit your stand there so I can use them in another of these videos. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First up again, the rules. Typical big city, start point is 100 meters away from each other and there are no people around. Rules are off, no holding back, no concerns about being morally correct or anything. Thank you to Dr. Kel for the submission of the stand Power Flower. I think it's a really cool stand, so let's get right into it. The ability of Power Flower is called Armify, which basically makes the user able to turn any non-living object into a piece of armor. This also includes shields, but the mass of the object that he is touching has to be more or the same as the object he is trying to create. He can put the armor on himself or on any other person around him, but they have to be in a 2-meter radius so he can use the ability. The second ability of the stand is called Armor Crush. This ability makes the armor collapse in on itself and basically crush the person that is inside this armor. The more often Armor Fight is used on someone, the thicker and more heavy the armor gets, granting more protection but also causing Armor Crush to do a lot more damage the heavier the armor is. So if Armor Fire is only used a couple of times, the damage will be not that great, but if it is used a lot of times, it can basically one-shot someone. Power Flower has a mind of its own, so it basically is an automatic stand, which means that the user isn't hurt when the stand is hurt. The stand can move about 7 meters away from its user and also can attract non-living objects that are less than 1 meter away from him. Despite having a mind on its own, the stand always follows the lead of the user. The weakness of the stand is that his abilities stop working when the user gets distressed. So a negative emotion that is heavily pressuring the user can make the abilities of the stand stop working. But the armor will come off inside a time frame that is dependent on how distressed the user is. But usually the armors of other people come off a lot faster than the armor of the user itself. When it comes to Power Flower's stats, we got a C in power, a C in speed, a B in range, a C in durability, a B in precision, and a D in potential, making it a rounded and well-balanced stand in general. To you, Dr. Clay, I think you really put some thought into this stand. I think it's really cool. The idea of fighting with an armor is very interesting to me, and you put a weakness as well, which is very important to me, as I think we shouldn't make stands too overpowered as they get just boring. So, very cool stand, and thank you a lot for your submission. Let's move on to the next stand called Sharp Dressed Man. And this stand is actually a stand I myself created. And I also drew this little sketch of him. I'm not that great of an artist, but I think he turned out rather good. Sharp Dressed Man's ability is to turn anything he touches razor sharp. So no matter the surface, if it's flat, if it's ruffled, if it's whatever, the object will become sharp enough to cut yourself even if you touch it in the slightest bit. So a heavy hit on an object like this would probably sever whatever you are hitting it with. Also, any object affected by that is now able to touch a stand. So also a stand can be cut by this effect. The effective range of this ability is 50 meters. As soon as the object that is affected gets out of this range, the sharpness will just disappear in an instant. Another ability of Sharp Dressed Man is to use the barbed wire his body is made of to physically swing himself around, grab objects, etc. Basically just use them as limbs. His barbed wire has a range of about 25 meters at max. It is stronger in close-up though, because he has to stretch the barbed wire out to reach the 25 meters. If he uses it in close range, he can basically string more of the barbed wire together, and thus basically forming a stronger limb than a single string of barbed wire. The barbed wire from his body is as durable and functions the same as normal barbed wire. Of course, it also is able to hurt stands. Also, little side note, the ability is unable to affect any living being. So no sharp humans, animals, etc. When it comes to Sharp Dressed Man's stats, we got a C in power, a C in speed, an A in range, a D in durability, a D in precision, and a D in potential. Sharp Dressed Man's user is basically a high-rank thug in a gang in industrialized London. He is known to be sneaky and witty. I don't have a name for him yet, but if you have any name you would suggest, just leave them in the comments. His physical body is not that strong and he's not that tall as well. He more relies on his wit and his strategy. Thus his stand being not the strongest, not the fastest, but having a high range. The stand resembles his operation methods, thus he relies on the ability to use objects and sharpen them up. This is why the user always has a bag of marbles on him to sharpen them and throw them on his enemies. So, now to the matchup. The first thing that comes to mind is that Sharp Dressed Man is probably able to affect the armor that is created by Power Flower. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it is, because they are made of physical objects, which can be affected by this ability. But this might not even be good for Sharp Dressed Man and its user, because if Armor Fight is used on himself and the armor is sharpened up, he would definitely slice himself up in the process. But on the other hand, the armor that the user of Power Flower is using to protect himself could also be affected by Sharp Dressed Man. And the armor would also be very important, as the reach of Sharp Dressed Man is higher than the reach of Power Flower. So the barbed wires could definitely hurt the user when Sharp Dressed Man gets close enough. But if Armor Fire is used, the barbed wire will probably not be able to even reach the user of Power Flower. As I said, the precision of Sharp Dressed Man is not really great. He is more able to launch his barbed wire than to really precisely move it up and down or something like this. I personally think that these two stands synergize very well. So a 2v2 would be an option. Let me know what you think about that. But anyways, the fight. I think it will come down to a battle of wit. And I should probably mention that the barbed wire that Sharp Dressed Man is using isn't able to create the effect of sharpening. So just hitting with the barbed wire won't be enough to activate the effect of the sharpening. He has to touch it with his hand. Definitely tell me what you think. I will link a poll to this video where you can vote on which stand will win this fight. I personally think that it will be Power Flower, as the armor up ability is a great defense and also a great attack mechanism. The sharpening effect of Sharp Dressed Man is only good for attacking moves. So if Power Flower is able to land a significant hit, it could be over for Sharp Dressed Man. Also, Sharp Dressed Man is no automatic stand, so if this stand is hurt, the user is as well. So I personally give the win to Power Flower. If you think otherwise or think the same, go to the poll and vote on who you think wins this fight. Also again, go join the Discord and submit your own stands so I can use them in another video. Until next time, stay safe and I will see you on the Discord or in the next video.